I've sold the Coop Squat, the rack I've been using for the past 5 years or so, and now I'm building my ultimate rack. And I'm gonna show you everything I'm doing to build it. Let's do it. Hey guys, this is Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. We're in my temporary garage gym. I'm building a shop. If you'd like to see a series on that, let me know in the comments, and also subscribe. Also, this is a rack build video that I'm gonna show you basically everything I'm adding to this, why I'm adding it. It's from all different companies. If you'd like to purchase any of these, check out the link below the like button. It will support us. But also, if you'd like to see any more rack builds, let me know in the comments. Let's get into it. First off, let's start with the base frame. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this isn't like braggadocious. I just have access to every rack that's available. I've used all of them, I've tested them, I've reviewed them, but I'm going with something custom. This is a mix of a lot of different companies. My past rack was the Coop Squat that featured a Rogue Rhino, and it had uprights and cross members and everything you can think of from all different companies. And this one is somewhat similar in that it's using a lot of different stuff from a lot of different companies. But the base frame is obviously the 3x3, get out of there! The base frame is obviously the standard. It's a 3x3 upright with 11 gauge steel and 1-inch holes, the monster style racks. The uprights and cross members and everything I'm using, what I decided to go with was Rogue Fitness. Anybody that's like, well, they sent that to you. No, they didn't. I paid full price for this. The reason being, I really like Rogue's quality. Rogue's quality, if this is a rack that I'm gonna use in my personal gym, also, if I upgrade over time, I can still use these. I plan to use it long-term. I have no problem with spending a little bit extra and getting what I think is the best uprights, best welds, best powder coat, best options, all those sorts of things. Now, the orientation of this rack, you'll notice, is a little bit different. Rather than going with a 6-post rack that is this way, which is typical, I went with a 6-post rack that is horizontal. Part of that is to fit the space. The other part is because of the attachments that I'm using, this makes the most sense. Here's the reality. When I first moved into this house, this was all I was gonna use for the time being. I've since added a couple things, other machines. I've added the Quantum Free Trainer, and I've added a Prime leg extension leg curl that really is kind of superfluous. It's not superfluous for those that have watched videos in the past, because I could use a different attachment for that, which I'll show you. But for a while, this is all I used was this rack, and my plan was I just wanted it as compact as possible, and this works for that setup. Now, you'll notice a few different changes that I've added. One is stainless steel uprights. I don't have stainless steel uprights on all the front uprights, I just have them on these two. The reason being is because of an attachment that I'm gonna use on this, which I'll show a little bit later on, that I use a lot. But if you can afford the stainless steel uprights, if this is like your forever rack, man, they are so good. I mean, there's other companies that make them too. Fringe Sports on their Dane rack, those are great too. But Rogue's raw stainless uprights, you only need them on the front. You don't need them on your cross members, your back uprights, all that sort of thing. Just spend a little bit extra to get your front ones. If it's your forever rack and have the money, they're worth it. They're great. Okay, then some additions that I've added. One, I've got the extension feet off the front. These are actually from the Rogue Rhino standalone that I'm reusing. Reason for this is I attach things on these far ones, and I'll show you that here in a little bit with a lot of training footage. Then I do have one monster mini foot. I love these mini feet. Honestly, I think I like these better than the long ones. They're very compact and have holes very far. One of the annoying things is this hole is kind of unusable because on the other side you have no way to attach it. But I like how compact it is. I like that you can still attach things to it. They add extra stability. And I'll show you why I added this specifically on this one. It's for an accessory that I'm adding. But I like the extra stability of the feet, and it gives you more attachability, which matters a lot when you're really just using this for all your training. Then I added a bar in the middle. I'll show you why here in a moment. This is a monster shelf from Rogue with their dividers. This is actually something I did a DIY of on Frey Fitness's wall ball shelf years ago. They've since come out with a commercial version, which is this, that uses these stainless steel dividers that pop in here. It's just a nice toaster rack, holds your plates well, and it's modular. Modularity is best. Then I've got the cross members. As you can see, these are squared. They're basically boxes. The reason I like the boxes is because I can use attachments on the front, but I can also use the attachments here. I can use the attachments here because I'm opting into Rogue's ecosystem. But one reason I opted into Rogue ecosystem versus a thinner upright is because the people that are making attachments for the thinner uprights can work on the longer uprights. Most of the time they're making it so they do work. Well, if you have a thinner profile and want to use a Rogue attachment, they're not cross-compatible. So because I don't really mind the width of when I'm racking and unracking, which is the most annoying part, and I'm using all sorts of attachments, that's the reason I went with this. Let's start by adding a few attachments. Let me go into my grab bag. Woo! First are my spotter arms. These spotter arms are from Surplus Strength. These are, in my opinion, either these or the Oak Club spotters are the best spotters on the market. These, notice, they take up very little space on the upright, yet they're incredibly strong. They go from the side. They have full UHMW plastic protection on all sides. You don't technically have to put a pin in, but you have multiple pin locations if you'd like them. You have holes all on the sides. They're just extremely well made. Surplus Strength killed it on these. The welds are incredible, made in the USA. They're just an amazing product. I'd love a light version of this, Surplus Strength if you're watching, just a quicker attached version that doesn't weigh as much, but also doesn't hold as much weight, because I use these for a lot of things where I just don't need like 1,000 pounds holding capacity. I could get fine with 800 pounds on curls. Next are J-cups. I have a lot of different J-cups, the ones I like the best. Part of it's nostalgia, part of it because I like the look. The other part is I actually really like how they work. And that is these. These are the Go Strong J-cups. They're roller J-cups. I'm putting them back here for right now, not because I'm gonna squat on this side, I squat on this front. There's another attachment I have off the front. These are no longer made by Ghost. Ghost is actually no longer a company. Rogue bought the rights to this idea, and so they sell them now. And I think they sell them pretty much with the same logo and everything. It's just these have their roller on them so you can shift side to side with the bar, but also they have this special shape that's UHMW plastic. They also have the metal that allows you to roll the bar forward automatically every time. You can use really thick bars, really thin bars. So despite me having all the other J-cups that are in the market, you can have a lot of J-cups and you can go with a lot of different companies, kind of like collars, but these are my favorite. Then let's go with something that's already on the rack. You may have already seen it, and that is this. This is the piece, honestly, that I have added to my gym that I've enjoyed using the most and have probably used the most this past year. You've probably seen the review already. If you haven't, you can go check the backlog and make sure you subscribe while you do it. But these are the Bulletproof Fitness VTS. These allow you to use your upright as a Smith machine. So these go up and down, rolling up and down on the uprights. They allow you to put in different barbells. I'll show you what I've been using them for this past cycle. I really like these. You can see my review to see every thought that I have on them because I do have critiques. But from just a usability standpoint, in my gym for the past year, I have used these a ton and for a ton of different movements. This rack is really designed to see how much versatility I can pack into 6 uprights. These allow me to do a lot. To hold them up, you think of a traditional Smith machine, you're gonna have your bar that locks in and out, and then you're gonna have basically a spotter pin that prevents you from failing on a rep, allows you to drop it down, kind of like a half safety spotter. That's what I'm using these for. These are from Bridge Built. I think they call them the coaster docks. They're magnetic, which was a nice feature originally for me, but now because I have stainless uprights, that doesn't necessarily matter. But they just go in really quickly, have UHMW plastic. They're made in the USA from a small company. I paid full price for them again. I really like them. So if you have the VTS, I know Bulletproof has their own version with springs that I haven't used yet, but I do like these a lot. Then the barbell. This is, in my opinion, the most underrated specialty bar that is in existence. Nobody really talks about this, and in fact, the biggest strength and conditioning company in the world, Rogue Fitness, sells a steel row bar, which I have over there, but they don't even sell it on its own page. It's just like it as an added option on their steel row platform. This is so underrated because it's not only great for back movements to get more ROM, it's also great for chest pressing movements. So I've been using this on the VTS. If you notice, this one is from Titan Fitness and has no sleeves. The reason is I wanted to make it lighter because this can be kind of heavy. What I plan to do a little bit longer term is actually chop this end off to make it even lighter, but for now, this works fine. So what this allows is when I'm doing a chest movement, I bring this off, bring it forward, that way it's unlocked, and then I do my press movement. allows me to have greater depth. It puts my hand positioning perfect. I love this. I love this whole setup. Works really well. Now to what I have powering most of these devices. I'm still using plates a lot, dumbbells, that sort of thing. But a lot of what I'm powering these with, you'll notice it's like, where do you put the plates? You took the sleeves off. Well, I'm using Beyond Power Voltras. So this is a Darko mount made for the Beyond Power Voltra. I'll put this in here and then I simply attach the Voltras to them. So just to show you how it works, I'll attach that in there, pull this up, for example, for this setup, attached to here, and then I have modulating resistance. You'll notice I don't have stacks on this. A lot of people, when they're doing racks like this, they'll have a lat pull down, functional trainer, that sort of thing. I don't have that on this rack. The reason being, what's powering all this resistance is Beyond Power Voltra. 250 pounds resistance per device, and I can adjust the strength curve. That's the reason I'm using it, but I won't go into too much in depth in that because I've done a ton of reviews on these. Then this crossbar. The reason I have the crossbar is because I'm using this bad boy with it. This is the Prime Fitness stability pad. I can place this in here like so, bring this down, pull my bench in, and then suddenly I can use this for back supported chest press with Voltras. I just attach them on this side or on the uprights. I can also use it, if I bring this further out, for chest supported rows. When I put a bench down and then I attach Voltras on each side for rows. I can also use it if I just put my bench in here and then I use this for the back rest, for overhead press. I think this is a very underrated tool. I think it's overpriced. I'm hoping other companies come out with other versions because I love this idea, but it's just very expensive. I've seen some people that don't love these. They bought them. Actually, I bought this one used from somebody in our Facebook group because they didn't love it, but I like it a lot. I use it a lot. And then when I don't want to use it, I just put it out of the way, so I'm not worried about it. So that's what that crossbar is for. Next is the Rogue. This is a new addition. This is the Rogue multi-use lat seat. This comes with the CTM1. The reason I'm using this is because it's multifaceted. I can use it here for lat pull downs. So I can place this here, place this up, and then suddenly I have a seat where I can do lat pull downs. I'm using the resistance, same thing I'm using for the VTS. I attach the Voltra up here. I then have this cable that I attach it to, and then I have a pulley I attach in the middle. That way it can get heavier than 200 pounds. So I can do, it's basically the pulley magic we've talked about previously, but that way I can do lat pulls using this seat. But the other thing I use this for is rather than using my Sornex Bulldog pad, I'll take this out, flip it over, flip this over, and then suddenly I can use this for rows, whether I'm using dumbbells or I can go over the top, add a Voltra down there and do rows right there. I have a solid base where I can do row movements too. And then technically if I wanted to, I don't really do this, but if you want to, you could use this, or if you want to do presses and things like that. The option I was using just to show you was this from GoodRx. This is actually a pretty sweet device. So I would put this in the rack and then I'd bring my bench up to it. And then I would use this as my leg rollers whenever I was doing lat pull downs on there. The other nice things about this that can't do, which is why I still have this, is I use this whenever I'm doing low rows. So this allows me to have foot plates, put my resistance here, and then I can do low rows just like that, not on the floor. I can do it on my bench. Very nice. And then actually, they've got this cutout here, which is pretty smart. Allows you to put it all the way up. So it's just kind of out of the way. And then when you want to use it, you can bring it down. Pretty smart piece. Another piece that's similar to those, you can use them for similar stuff. And then sometimes I do that where I'll place the big freaking roller from Rogue, this is a multi-use roller, on these. This is the nice thing about this. I can place it on any of these uprights. So any of these connections, I can add it to, and then I can use it for Bulgarian split squats. I can use it for hip thrusts. I can use it to hold my legs down for lat pull downs, all that sort of thing. And I've got a nice section here where I can store it out of the way. This is the rack I'm using pretty much every movement for. I wanted to be able to use some machines. You're basically looking at two options if you want to use machines on a rack attachment: bulletproof isolator, which is great, or the Prime Smart Arm. My review of the Prime Smart Arm, it was mixed. In some ways it was very glowing. In other ways, there's a lot of critiques, and I still hold those critiques. But I will say, the more I've used it, the more I found there are certain movements I absolutely love, and I would fight you if you want to take it away from me. And then there's other movements that I don't like that much. Example, leg extensions and leg curls. They work on it. It's just not as good as the standalone piece, which I actually have behind the cameraman right now. But this I place right here. That's why I have the mini foot here for extra stability. This is the weight horn. Place in here. And they make this so you can detach it every time. I did not want to deal with that. And that's the primary reason, with some additional stuff, but the main reason I added this extra extension with a full upright was so I could use this all the time as permanently installed where I wanted it on the rack. So then what I do, these are attachments you can attach in here. This is the arm curl, for example. So you put this in here and then you can do curls. And I have enough space in between the uprights to do all the movements that I'd want. You can do curls. You can do leg extensions. You can do ham curls. You can do rows. I use it for a tricep extension all the time. I love the tricep movement. If you want to add machines to your gym and you want it to feel Prime-esque with the 3 different loading horns, it's expensive to add these, especially the bench. And the bench, in my opinion, needs a lot of work. It's the reason it's not my primary bench. My primary bench is the Ironmaster Pro bench. But this setup is really nice. And I will say, having the dedicated upright, I think this is a better usage of a 6-post rack for at least my type of training than what it would be if it's oriented the other way. Then, because I'm trying to keep my setup compact, I use the dumbbell cart from Rep. I've got the Rep times Pepin dumbbells. These are what I'm using every training session. They go back here and sit right in the middle. So I've got enough space where I've got enough room where I can do the stuff that I want to on these uprights. And then when I want to do dumbbell movements, come back here, take them out, move them out to my bench, and I'm able to go. The other benefit is there's a lot of storage in the bottom too. The other thing that I'll do for a lot of these attachments, because there are a lot of attachments that I haven't even shown yet that just go with the benches or go with some of these movements, and that are these. And I'll just place them in these extra racks right here, and they just kind of sit in the toast rack, and then bumper plates are in the other one. Now, a couple other things I didn't show that are a little bit more minor. This upright is an A-horn from Irwin Fitness. It is very well done. First thing I ever used from Irwin Fitness. Their quality of powder coat, welds, I mean, it all feels very Rogue-esque. It's very well done, made in Canada. Then my pull-up handles I'm using, these are from Prime Fitness. I used these years ago on my Coop Squat, and I liked them enough that I wanted to keep using them. They modulate, so you can put them in different areas, and then you just go ahead and grab on and do your pull-ups. You can go close grip, or typically what I'll do is go very wide, lock in, grab them, and go. Very nice. And then if I want to do one arm pull-up work, they work really well for that too, because your grip isn't as much of an issue. So I can kind of hold on to here and then kind of work on my one arm. I still have a goal of doing a one arm pull-up someday, but I'm very far from that still. Okay, that's the rack. I will say what this is like made me realize is you don't need a ton of space to get a lot of good workouts. You need a lot of money. No, I'm kidding, kinda. I mean, you could remake this in a lot cheaper setup. All this stuff is really expensive, but you can have a epic setup in a really small package if you wanted to, if you don't have the space, which is kind of where I'm at right now. I do, 80% of my training, 90% of my training on this. I could get by with just this, no problem. Now, it's nice to have a bunch of specialty bars and things like that you can add into your rack, but generally, I freaking love this setup. Okay, let me know in the comments if you think I should add anything. There's a few other things I want to add long term, but for right now, I'm pretty satisfied. This has been Coop with Garage Gym Reviews. I'll see you next time. Peace.